When a crime happens, police and prosecutors investigate to find a suspect and then charge that person.
And sometimes a grand jury is part of that investigation, but it's a tool that has not been used in Allen County in more than 15 years. A former deputy prosecutor called 15 Finds Out, saying more homicides could be solved by using a grand jury. So we took that question to the prosecutor's office.
I don't think we would have nearly the number of unsolved homicides that we have right now if we were using a grand jury system on a regular basis.
To create an impression that there is some magic answer there does a disservice to the community.
Grand juries, one of the many tools available to prosecutors. And one former Allen County Chief Deputy Prosecutor Michael Loomis says Allen County needs to use more.
When's the last time a grand jury was used in Allen County?
2000 or 2001.
I don't understand the mentality of saying we're not going to do grand juries in Allen County.
Let's stop for a second. Before we get into the arguments for and against using a grand jury for some homicide cases, let's first explain what a grand jury is. In Indiana, it's made up of 6 citizens. They meet in an undisclosed conference room, not in the courtroom. A grand jury can subpoena documents and witnesses to testify. All proceedings are confidential. It is illegal to release who talked to a grand jury or what they said. A grand jury does not decide guilt or innocence. Instead, it decides whether or not to issue an indictment. That's basically another way of saying whether or not to charge someone. If someone is indicted by a grand jury, they still would have the same due process in court as if the prosecutor filed charges without a grand jury.
Here in Marion County, it serves a very, very vital role.
15 Finds Out went to Indianapolis to learn more about when and why grand juries are called. Marion County has a standing grand jury, and the process is used on a regular basis.
Cases where the absence of evidence calls for a grand jury to get people in and to get that evidence over to the point where there's probable cause to charge the crime.
Marion County Deputy Prosecutor Tim Delaney says not every case needs a grand jury, but it can be used for any kind of crime. In homicide cases, he says grand juries are helpful when witnesses won't talk to police.
Oftentimes, if it's a detective on the street asking for cooperation from people, they're scared. People are watching them. This affords an opportunity, both with that contempt power and with the privacy that the grand jury affords, to get people to open up in ways that you might not be able to otherwise get.
By having the grand jury in session where those cases come up, certainly that's an advantage.
Former Indianapolis police detective and grand jury investigator Jack Sandlin.
I've had cases where I've gone out and knocked on the door and that guy doesn't want to talk to me, but we know from the investigation that he's an essential witness, and a grand jury subpoena can be issued and he can come before the grand jury and actually testify.
This idea that we can compel somebody to testify simply by impaneling a grand jury is completely untrue. We can subpoena their appearance, but they still have their Fifth Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution not to testify. If they then say, I wasn't there, I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, unless you have compelling evidence that they're lying to you, you haven't gotten any farther.
He said that in his experience, witnesses who were reluctant before
Can be more
were
cooperative.
very cooperative with a grand jury.
I'm not saying it won't ever happen that somebody, coming in, and that's I guess the power of the process, that for the marginal witness who maybe is just afraid, but it's probably not going to work against the person who is a quasi-co-participant with the bad guy.
Chief Allen County Deputy Prosecutor Michael McAlexander says if a witness refuses to testify to a grand jury, they have to grant that witness immunity before they can hold them in contempt of court for not talking. Compelling a witness to testify is one of Michael Loomis's main arguments. He used grand juries to investigate and prosecute many cases, including homicides, when he worked in the Allen County Prosecutor's Office in the late 1990s.
There could even be members of victims' families that wouldn't want to offer information to police officers about homicides. But yet, with the grand jury, you're not only compelling them to testify, but you're giving them an excuse to come in and testify. No one has to know that they've been to a grand jury to testify.
Part of that may be true, part of that is not true, because again, if you have targeted an individual that you think is the suspect, he knows there's a grand jury proceeding, and he or she knows who knows stuff.
I don't think there's any excuse for not using the grand jury as an investigative tool in Allen County, particularly given our homicide situation.
There was a record number of homicides in Fort Wayne last year. Of the homicides in 2015 and 2016, and so far this year, a third are cleared or have arrests made. Warrants are issued in 17%, and half are still open cases.
In terms of what we can do about the solution rate, this is a remedy that you can't argue with.
What's your response then to the statement that the solution rate for homicides would be higher in Allen County if the grand jury was used?
I don't believe that's true.
Why?
Because it still requires good police work to bring something for evidence for a grand jury or a jury. And as I said, if you don't have any leverage on them to get their cooperation, they aren't going to just suddenly, oh, I got a subpoena, I guess I have to tell the truth today.
McAlexander says his office is actually considering calling a grand jury for a homicide case right now.
But that is the exception and the rarity, because I'm hard-pressed to think of hardly any of the other homicides in the last 15 years or so that I think would have been solved by bringing in a grand jury or would have been enhanced at all by a grand jury.
Now, so far this year, Allen County prosecutors got guilty verdicts in 4 murder trials. A 5th ended in a hung jury and is rescheduled for August. Those trials were for 4 homicides last year and 1 from 2015. Grand juries were not used to bring murder charges in those cases.